Hello, sweet souls. DTO and
Jerry Weinglass, yes, connecting here.
absolutely, it's another day for us to talk about melodic raindrops. It's our
I
brand
thought
new.
you were going to say another day in paradise over there in
Well,
Costa
that's always the case with
Rica.
Costa
Yeah,
Rica. Yeah, definitely. And what's great is the raindrops here are tropical.
oh wow,
Um, we could extend the title melodic tropical raindrops, which are the best
yeah,
raindrops out there.
we
So
get
thanks for
raindrops.
joining us live, everyone that's out there that have followed my career, DTO, as well as Jeremy Weinglass. And to kick it off, we want to share a little clip of melodic raindrops for you to experience the magic and this brand new track. Here we go. Fun. I love this song so much. It's so
Nice, just a tease there, but yeah, it's great. You can tell right where the melodic rain drops
yes,
right there. Just notice
absolutely.
it. Yeah, right when it comes in on the drop.
Completely. Yeah. And before we kick it off, I wanted to share with everyone a series of videos that we were doing to support the behind the scenes and how collaboration works. And here's a clip that we recently shared on our Instagram accounts.
What's exciting about collaborating with DTO on Melodic Raindrops was the back and forth experience. And after I sent him some piano ideas, as soon as I got back, what he had created from it was amazing. And so actually one of my favorite parts of Melodic Raindrops is right at the beginning. As you can hear, the piano opens immediately. And it sounds like it's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you're waiting. And then the drop. And it's actually in a 4 beat. So right there, I love the beginning because it kind of signifies the title. That's the melodic rain drops. And it continues. And I'm thrilled at the magic that DTO could create on top of the piano that I had sent him. And so we had a couple back and forths, and then this is the magic we created together. So it's an exciting song. It was a lot of fun, great process. I'm thrilled for you to hear the whole thing.
Yes. I love that. Triple. What's great is we added that whole triplet piece to it, but then as you said, it's a Jedi mind trick at the opening because you think it's in 3 and then the 4 happens. And what's interesting is I had just seen in my feed recently of how John Bonham, when he started off, it's been a long time since I rock and roll. He goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he goes from
Yes,
like 3 to a 4, and then here were you breaking down how melodic raindrops, and I was like,
same
there's
thing.
new under the sun, obviously, and I'd love to be categorized with Led Zeppelin, but there's these musical theoretical concepts that are these constructs that what's wonderful, as I know you and I have a rich background, always giving a big shout out to my mom who put me through all the scales, the piano lessons, and classically trained. Remember the recitals? That definitely got some drips and drops of butterflies in your stomach when you were having to perform in front of people. But yeah, I love how we got to have that left brain, like theoretical, okay, here's what we're creating, and then naturally the right brain of just being in a flow state and making it happen. So yeah, feel free to share like your process. And for those people that haven't necessarily seen all of our posts on Instagram, love for you to talk further about that.
Well, okay. I mean, I mean, I guess having an extra minute here to talk about it, I would say that I wasn't sure what to send you at first. I thought, because I know I can get complicated with piano, classical music. My process with composition is, oh, I got to do something extra complex or something, to be creative. And then I also learned to slow down and simplify. Now, coming from DTO, the music, you've even told me, we had a conversation about this, that your music and, more meditative and more for yoga, that has to, it can't be too complicated or too busy. So that was my attempt, and I'll do something simple. Of course, it came out extra rhythmic. So I think we met in the middle somewhere, because I think we pulled out a little more busy than you're used to, right? But we went with it. We got out of our comfort zones, and I found something clever enough, but also simple enough, and just letting there be space for you to do the next step. So that was interesting. It was like less pressure, I guess, at some point, when I'm like, I just need to come up with one or two ideas and then see what happens. From there, it was, it was that's how collaboration works. It becomes something bigger than the two parts.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk about how in the past we've worked on projects and albums that were themed out. And for example, my sophomore album is 7 songs for 7 chakras with all the different colors. And then you have this incredible project that really caught my attention that we reached out and talked about, which is the rainbow, right? And the rainbow is a color connection. And why I'm bringing in the rainbow, because what happens after a melodic raindrop? The rainbow happens, right? So there's a theme within a theme that we may have unconsciously even knew was happening, because this album goes through all these different color frequencies, just like how mine went through the 7 energy centers of the chakras. So,
right. What are the chances we're doing a very similar project? I guess you're on it a few years before I was, but doing the same 7 colors, 7 chakras, and so we're in alignment. Anyways, it was destined to be a melodic collaboration of raindropping.
totally. So, question for the people that love your music and the listeners. So, when you started your journey with music, were you in like orchestral style, concert piano? Were you in jazz band, marching band? Because I feel like this is like a soundtrack that we evolved into. And, I relate it to my history of like playing the timpani in wind ensemble and percussion, and then just creating this dynamic part. Like there's this really cool part where it has this drum solo. It's like, I want to say like a Phil Collins, dun, 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 dun. Like for me being a drummer,
that's right.
I want to create this like epic experience. But then the basis is there's these strings and orchestral sounds. But really, you started it off, just so for people that want to understand how collaborations work, you sent me over the piano parts, and then that just inspired me to take it in that direction. So yeah, go ahead and share about your origin story around what styles of music you've played.
Well, the beginning of my compositional journey was just simply pulling from the classical music I was studying. So I have to go back to 10 years old, 11 years old, seriously, when I started to write music. And no joke, by the time I was 12, I actually have on my Choose Love album, there are some songs where I was 12 years old, 13 years old and written. So I've released those again, but I found my voice. I was very, very fortunate to find my voice at a young age. But that first style I used on my early work was very classically driven. So, and it wasn't rhythmically driven. So that's different for me when I'm more influenced by pop rock, classic rock, and of course EDM. But it wasn't like a beat in my head. It was more about chord progressions and melodic, complex chord progressions under melodies that could be catchy. So that was something that I valued in songwriting. So one of my tricks to writing music was, well, first I realized that there was only 12 notes to choose from, and everything's been done in a sense, essentially. So when you say you're a composer, you're not creating music per se, because it already exists. You're making a collage, you're making a vision board cutting out of magazines, but the magazines already exist, but you're still making something unique. That's the best analogy, metaphor I've got. So if I found something interesting through a magazine or through what I was working on, a Beethoven lick or a Debussy, for example, I would say, "Oh, I love that. I want to figure out what that is. What is that progression that I'm studying that I like?" And work with it, change the tempo. So borrow it, steal it. So I would use recycled progressions in complex classical music from Rachmaninoff, Beethoven, and Debussy specifically. I've got examples I can think of, and so I figured no one would notice, or it was too complicated to care. But my piano teacher would catch it. He'd be like, "Hey, that's from the Rachmaninoff prelude," or something. Like, how could you tell that? I changed the key, I changed everything. So in a sense, that was my little trick until I found my own voice, and then went from there. That was my first way to write music. And then as I got more involved in pop and rock and writing some more songs with lyric, I try to simplify that, but it's still a concept that I think about often and apply.
I love that, because it's always like the parts and pieces of us. It's like the iceberg, right? Like, how much of it do you actually see on the top compared to this rich history that we got to, as you say, like 10 years old, started to have this access point to all these. And if you go back in like the Baroque period, the classical period, the Renaissance, like there's so many different, as you said, there's 12 notes, right? It's all been established as far as all the frequencies. And then it's almost like throwing puzzle pieces on the table and saying, okay, where are we going to find the border? Where's the piece? Where's the structure? And I love that there's such a strong influence that you can hear, but then it's your own experience of who you are as an artist, as Jeremy Weinglass. And this is one of my favorite photos of you, by the way. I think it's so indicative of who you are. Like, you're out in nature, gorgeous, gorgeous piano. Some other beautiful moments of you. Also, you mentioned, like EDM and the festival style experiences. So I love that some of the music videos that you've launched have shown like aerialists and people that are in their flow state with their own expressions with their bodies, and then you get to share the musical part of it. And I do love the fact that recently, actually, a friend of mine, Tim, that lives in San Diego, I tagged you in this, I'm sure you saw it, and he did a dance sequence with Melodic Raindrops. And so it really inspired him.
I need to see that still. I missed it.
Yeah. And so it was awesome, because I was like, hey, anytime you want to dance and play along, and just because, for us, we're musicians, and our role is to create a soundtrack for people to receive however they see fit, right? Some people, I'm sure, have told you, and both of us, I know, have received beautiful feedback and experiences of people over the years. They're like, oh, it's so beautiful to just relax after a long, hard day at the office. Or when I'm driving, I like to listen to your music. Or on the weekends when I'm with my friends, or, there's all these circumstances. Or, hey, I'm going through something real emotional and my heart yearns to be able to feel healing energies and frequencies with music. And that's what I love about Melodic Raindrops is, out of nowhere, my friend Tim's like doing this incredible, he's a dancer, so he owns a dance studio in San Diego. And I was like, oh, and then that inspired me to reach out to my friend Nika, who's in New York, who's an incredible dancer. So there's a whole opening that we don't even know. And that's what a part of us, sharing about the song right now, because when people listen to it, maybe you want to put it on a soundtrack to a YouTube channel, your website. Maybe you want to do voice commentary over it. Maybe you want to use it as your opening before you get on a stage and speak to people. So there's so many ways that music can be repurposed and applied. As you mentioned, a lot of the beginnings of my music was like a soundtrack for yoga, meditation, to set that tone so then people can go within. Yeah. And I feel like this is like Melodic Raindrops is this expressive place for people to flow and dance. And, it's a great opportunity to invite people, anyone that happens to be on Instagram that would like to do some kind of movement practice. Feel free to add the song. You can invite us with the collaborator option. And that's a really beautiful way to just get expressed. And you never
That's right.
know when you start listening to it, how your body's going to move and feel. So
That's amazing. See, I'm tapping in. I'm just by you explaining that made me kind of have a little aha here on a moment, because I have always assumed or prioritized music as, oh, I need you to listen. You have to listen because there's a lot going on, and I
yeah,
want, yeah. And it's like, wait a minute, there's movement. Wait, now of course I have people dance to my music and such, but I always think that's because there's a choreography or there's something there. But you're in the world where you want, like, it's how, like you just said, like, how do you, is your body going to start feeling like moving spontaneously? Like, that's another level that I'm just realizing, kind of, I don't know, I'm just realizing it now, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's like, you don't have to stop and you don't actually have to listen to melodic raindrops. You could just feel it
hmm
and move. So that's that's kind of what you do with your music. So I applaud that, and I'm
yeah,
fascinated about that whole other aspect, which I haven't disregarded, but I just like putting more attention on now. It's important, not just listening,
yeah,
feeling.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what we get to share as well, is like, okay, well, if this is how this made you move and feel,
Mhm.
and he's a ballet dancer, right? And so
Mhm.
it's like, oh wow, maybe we can tap into people utilizing this piece for a ballet performance, and you don't know. Who knows? Maybe you're a music director for a Netflix film or Hollywood, and you want to add it to a soundtrack. We're open to all possibilities, right? And yeah, breath to movement with yoga, that's definitely like, that's the context of where people get the flow and move, which then inspired me. Like when I watched people dance to this song, it's like, oh yeah, they're just being the raindrops. They're just moving their their organisms, right? DTO is Dave the organism, in case you don't know the, the definition of my name. So it's really beautiful, I feel, because, and that's almost, and you're a dad, like you create a child, and like you have no clue what her personality is going to be like, what her character traits and her behaviors. It's like you create to create, and then boom, let's see what happens. And of course you nurture, cultivate, and all of that. But when you like give it out, right, as you said, choose love from one of your albums,
Mm.
then you allow for people to move and groove however they see fit. So that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and I
We need
appreciate.
more of
I
that.
appreciate, I gotta say, like acknowledge that it's, you've been the one who spearheaded this idea, because it's like what you generally have collaborated with people. That's what we had a conversation about. Well, we're
Totally.
trying to, we're brainstorming, and how do we, how are our channels going? How do we make more momentum? How do we navigate in this era of the music business? And there's
Yeah.
so many obstacles and platforms and all these things. And it seemed like the main message you spoke about and showed me was all the collaborations you did. That was the most successful thing. And I thought, well, I haven't done that as much, and so this was an obvious thing to try together. But
Yeah.
what an experience, and what a potential. Um, oh, hey,
hmm
Sherry saying hi. Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Put your comment up. Hey, Sherry Howard, what's up? Sherry just hosted an incredible, beautiful retreat at Embodied Costa Rica, and she came to my professional recording studio. I'll call her ambassador of Embodied Costa Rica. She's supported us so many times, and I'm going to get to see her at the Berkshire Yoga Festival, where naturally music is used for movement. And Sherry actually sings a lot of kirtan, which is
Mm.
for people to really, call and answer, where she'll sing, they'll respond, and it's a really beautiful way where music just has this flow. That's lovely. So yeah, fellow musician,
Beautiful.
have you here, Sherry, talking about music. And yeah, so that's a really beautiful piece, right? Of recognizing that when we collaborate, I know this sounds super hippie, but I like to say it's like 1 + 1 equals infinity. It's so true, because you bring an idea, I bring an idea, and then the synergy between us gets to just expand in directions. I mean, well, they've been saying it for years, like, two heads are better than one when it comes to problem solving. It's like that whole team synergy when you're, if you're at a company, if there's something going on, you're like, okay, how do we find a solution to this? Or, in a relationship, okay, well, let's come together breathe through it all and see what happens. And so what's lovely too is, just so everyone understands how collaborations work in the 21st century, Jeremy and I were not once in the same physical space. So this modern times of fiber optics internet and Google Drive and Dropboxes, we each have our own personal recording studios. We just go back and forth and share the files. And you actually sent over the MIDI, and then I imported that, because you're actually on a different platform than I am for a digital audio workstation, which we call a DAW. You're on Logic and I'm on Ableton.
Different time zones too. Yes.
Different time zones. Absolutely. You're in a subtropical part of the world. I'm in the tropical part.
Yep.
So yeah, it's lovely how there's, if you have the desire to collaborate and work with people, then anything's possible. And that's what I love about how the modern times work. Even in this moment, we're not even in the same country, but here we are having a conversation. So it's truly infinite energy. And as we talked about earlier, how this album, Infinite Energy, brought in all these layers, all these textures, and how Jeremy's The Color Connection brought in all these frequencies and different approaches and different parts of the piano that you play to represent the colors and the sounds. And, when you go into music, a lot of times it's a science as much as it is like a creative endeavor, right? We can do a whole podcast about the circle of fifths and how there's parts of, relative minors. So what's great, I feel, is in our process as professionals, we have been learning and curious about the tools. And, you're only as good as your tools in life, right? Like, you can try to build a house without a hammer and nails and wood, but it's just going to be in your virtual reality in your mind. But if you actually have the proper tools, just like the piano behind you or the software that we were speaking into, like Ableton, Logic, then it's like phenomenal, because at any time it can be like, ooh, I want a cello sound. And what's great is our network globally, I have lots of live musicians that are playing. Like, I have a viola player that plays with the San Diego Orchestra. I can lean into him, and you just collaborate in ways where in the past you'd be like, like the Beatles and Abbey Road, let's all get into the studio. And believe me, that's the dream, when you can all synergize and just have all the time in the world and be in, have a budget and be like, hey, we're all going to create this album and this project together. And you have lunches together and you brainstorm. And there's so many cool stories about musicians. And I've done that in the past where I played with groups and, bands. But now I feel you and I, as sole proprietors of our own path, and of course, I know your family supports you massively, just like Himalaya and my community. But there is something about, okay, well, here's my path and how I started, for me, small town Iowa. And here's how you began your journey. And then we've both done international moves within the last 4 years. And then like moving, and truly what I feel as an artist, and this is me speaking as a creative soul, is me removing parts of myself, even physical hoarding crap, and just being more free. All of a sudden I feel like I got to tap into something that was like, oh, well, who am I? Like, when I'm not here in physical form, because, the pandemic, I think, gave everyone a existential crisis of like, okay, what am I here for? What's my purpose? What am I here to do? How can I contribute? How can I be in service? And for me, I'm like, oh yeah, people remember who I am in different ways. And, you and I have lost some phenomenal souls recently in the world, in our community. And it's like, wow, where can we create a legacy and really inspire people? And for us, it's music. Like, that's our creative outlet. That's the way that we show up. And so I feel like all of these projects, and grateful to be in a time where we can complain about how streaming, sometimes doesn't compensate us as much, but it's pretty phenomenal that people across the world can listen to the music and enjoy it and really be able to receive it. And again, like, allow for them to be self-expressed how they choose.
Yeah, I think technology itself, clearly one of the best parts of the technology is that it gives us more freedom to move. Because before this, if you moved, you couldn't. The internet keeps us connected, even though there's the downside of, obviously, of social media and not being in person. We have Zoom, we have this, but at the same time, like, how can you keep authentic in wherever you choose to relocate? And thankfully we have music. We find our voice, we share it, and then we can actually create more fluidly. It's actually arguably faster and more fluid experience to pass files back and forth because the technology is so good that it's going to be, optimal of what you want. You can share it. You don't have to sit in traffic and plan meetings and read, all these other steps you can, send out and then try to get the best. The collaborations seem to be even more easier in a way. And then also having that freedom to, you can go to Costa Rica and start it and still not cut off your musical flow, but actually expand it. And same with me on our move to Florida from Los Angeles, which I guess is 2.5 years now. But yeah, both of us connecting in California originally, and here we are collaborating for the first time across.
I know we were both in Southern California, and I guess what it took was just and again, we and I have been working on like albums and bigger projects, and now it's like, and this is how it is. The reality is like doing singles, and even your album, you did a drip drop, right? Mm-hmm. You just like, here's a song, here's a song.
That's a strategy to do. You don't release an album anymore. You release it track by track. So it does help to have a sequence, a synergy of an album as you drop each track. And so I'm glad that's cool still, because that's how I think anyway. I was always making an organized idea of an album. Like before that was the months of the year, right? So
I remember that. Yeah, November and all the different albums. Let's show my friend Tim this video that he had sent me. This is a minute long, and again, this is super organic. This is the power of these global social media platforms. So here's Tim.
Oh, cool! I get to see this.
Good. Now I'm like,
there you are. You're flying with them.
So awesome. Yeah. Shout out to Tim for just being in the flow, and as a ballet dancer, just using these different techniques. And, it's awesome to see how people can move their systems and their bodies and really feel connected to music in a powerful way.
Yeah.
I've got Sherry saying some more good things. Yes. Good to see you. Good to meet you, Jeremy. Sherry's super talented. Yes. Have a deep listen to the track for sure.
Nice.
I feel like Sherry, because she has a rich background in singing. Who knows? I feel like some operatic sounds can come. Oh, really dramatic. Maybe we'll have a vocal version someday.
Yeah. Well, now I'm thinking about all the other parts of nature that we could drop also through the rainbow. You have
definitely, yeah, absolutely.
Melodic fire. I don't know. We got.
Hey. Well, it's funny you say that, because I'm at a friend's house right now, and when I came here to play this gig the other day, the network's called Fireflow.
Ah, okay, Fireflow. All right,
there you go. Never
know.
No, there's definitely an elemental piece, getting some other parts and pieces, and that's what's great. Like, the nature inspires us, and every day when I wake up in Costa Rica and there's sounds of birds, and so I was like, oh, what's that pitch? Coo, coo, coo. And I'm like, coo, coo, coo. What is that, a 6? Like, dun, 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 my body lies over. So there's all these sounds. And, as we were talking about like a festival world, EDM, like I remember when I was going to Burning Man, it'd be like these warbly different stages of sounds and pieces. And it'd just be like consolidate into my consciousness. And all of a sudden, when it was time to be in the studio, I was so lit up and inspired, and my heart was full, and community experiences, and then I'll just be like, okay. And what's beautiful, I want to touch more on the collaboration side. Is not only you and I are collaborating.
Right.
The other day, I was leaving a message with Betsy and shared the music with her, and she had to listen to it. And so, just the support system that we have from our experiences, that feels way more, supportive, where it just gives you that momentum and encouragement to go on, because then we're uplifting each other. It's that rising tide raises all ships philosophy. And I feel that's another connective piece of what collaboration means, not only on the micro, but on the macro of knowing that when we share our music, and I know we already hit 1,000 streams on Spotify, which is fantastic, of just recognizing like, oh, where in the world are people, and how can we get the music out there in more ways, which is a great invitation in this moment. So anyone that would love to add it to their playlists, we encourage that. Anyone that would like to dance along, as you saw Tim, for an Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name the platform, feel free to share that with us. And if anyone would like to license the song, I mean, that's the ultimate dream for us, is to have the piece be a part of some kind of film that anyone's working on, documentary, because, our role is to create it. And then our invitation is for you to see where it could fit into the world. So yeah, we honor anyone.
Yeah, you know what? It occurs to me too to add to that, part of collaboration for just making the magic. Another part of the collaboration is that you're bringing both multiple audiences together. So there's obviously people, your audience hasn't heard my music before, and there's people on my side haven't heard yours before. So in some cases, it can be a shock, like especially if both artists are relatively, a few steps different, which I think we kind of are. Like I have some people are like, oh, this is different. Like I put it out on my newsletter, and some people are like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that. So that's literally a shock. Like, oh, what is this? And so then I would invite people, like, even whether, like, if you're curious, maybe you're not as experienced in EDM music or yoga or this kind of whole other eclectic style of music. So I'd invite people to check more out on DTO and see what's possible that direction. And then likewise, that's kind of a collaboration emerging, if you will, of more magic, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's powerful, I feel, nowadays more than ever. And so I'll share Spotify, because there's like 550 million people that are on Spotify. And it's about 90% of the people that I personally know, when I ask them, just like casual survey, especially people in like the yoga community, meditation, but just in general, Spotify is huge. And I think it's 70% of the user base globally. And then of course and if anyone's a non-Spotify person, it's on Pandora, it's on Apple Music, it's on iHeartRadio, it's on Tidal.
Places we don't even know exist. They're on.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many platforms. Yeah. And as Jeremy was sharing here, so as I just walk people through, especially if you're an artist musician out here, this is a really great Jedi skill, because now when people go to your Spotify, then they can find the song. It's your artist pick. And then when they click on it, then they're like, oh, who's this DTO guy? And then they can go to DTO, and vice versa. They can see it's my artist pick. Right. And it's here as a popular release, and it's our latest single. And then, you can do a deeper dive into each of our catalogs to learn more about what we're creating in the world. But that's that.
Cross-pollination, Sherry says. That's right. That was
absolutely. The word. Cross-pollination. Buzz, right? We get to hop around from different places and get it out there in so many ways. And so amazing. So this is our invitation for everyone. If you're watching here live or on the archive, we invite you to go to each of our pages, either on Spotify or your preferred platforms. And then naturally, we each have our websites you can go to, as well as where we are on our newsletter list that you can sign up for.
That's right.
But this is one of many ways to connect with us.
Follow, subscribe.
Click, follow, subscribe, hit the bell, ding dong, the witch is alive. Totally. Yeah, it's awesome. And, I always tell people, don't do us dirty and just listen on an iPhone speaker. Like, at least have like AirPods, have like your car or headphones or studio speakers, because truly this is probably, if you add up all the communications, the time and energy, this was at least like a 30 to 40 hour process,
Mm.
including the time it takes for us to, invite you all into the distribution phase. I always tell artists that I coach and mentor, like there's 5 main steps, right? There's the pre-production, which is us just talking about ideas, sending ideas back and forth. Then there's the actual production of like, okay, let's go with that idea. So now you're going to lay it down, send it to me. Then I'm working on the production of it. Then there's post-production, which is the mixing and the mastering of the music. And then there's a 4th step, which is the distribution, uploading it, having it get out there on all these platforms. And then we're in the 5th stage, which I like to call impact. How is the song making an impact in the world? And we showed a video of Tim, and we showed everyone how there's more and more people streaming the song, playlisting it. So those are the steps and sequences. Sometimes artists, we're so excited to get the music out, we like get it out, and then we're like, okay, now I'm going to work on the next project. And you're like, but wait, you got to invite
Step
people.
4, like that's really important.
Yeah, so if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there, if a song's launched in the world and no one ever invites you into it,
Ever exist.
totally. So this is our heartfelt invitation to check out Melodic Raindrops, feel the energy. Again, this beautifully talented soul in front of me, Jeremy Weinglass, all of his energy, all the like, tinkling of the ivories. And it does sound like raindrops. And then it like spills into this whole other, orchestral experience. And thanks for inspiring me, because I honestly didn't even know what direction. I think at one point we were thinking like, let's just some like more melodic, but like meditative vibe. And all of a sudden you sent me this piece and I'm like, okay, this is rhythmical. I'm going to like,
Yeah. I couldn't help it. We had to.
Yeah, it was awesome because I'm a drummer, so I was just like drumming along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, march to the beat of your own drummer, everyone.
Perfect.
And when you're in Costa Rica, machete your way through the jungle.
Yes. Uh-oh.
You're in Costa Rica when there's just a random machete on the table where I'm doing a live stream. But yeah, feel free to share any closing words, Jeremy, and we'll wrap it up soon.
Yeah, closing words. Just enjoying the process of the moment, and we're always just a student of life, student of and reaching out. I think that's, besides collaborating, just even if you're not going to collaborate with someone, you still can like pick their brain. Like, don't hesitate to call someone or connect with someone that's either your colleague or someone that you want to aspire to, or any in that realm that's doing something similar that you want to find out what they're doing, and get in there, and maybe a collaboration happens. That's the magic that could happen. So you never know. So taking that initiative, there's a pre-step 1 is reaching out to see what is possible, and then letting the ideas flow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. We don't know what we don't know because we don't know it yet. And the more that we can just say, hey, especially anyone that's in your world that's creative, it's a good opportunity to just be like, hey, what creative projects have you been up to? Even if they're a graphic artist, visual artists, they might be making sculptures, they might be painters. Even if they're not musicians, what I've loved is our creative global community of people, where then you never know. I mean, I have people that are recording guided meditations. I just had an incredible retreat leader, Dr. Judith Rich, who is licensing my music for her podcast. And, I'm not here, nor are you, Jeremy, to be like, oh, this is exactly how the music needs to be experienced. So that's what I feel is really powerful, is we get to just trust and invite people in and keep conversations alive. And you never know who could be out there and say like, oh, this song would be great, XYZ. Like I've kind of learned to just stop over analyzing and just be like, get out there. And the best we can do is like what we're doing now is just say, hey, listen to the song. Maybe some creative ideas come up where you can say, oh, even if it's not you, like, oh, I have a friend that's actually looking for a song similar to this that she could use in, whatever project they're working on. Beautiful. So in the comments below here, I put links in the comment. I put dtomusic.com. I put jeremyweinglass.com. And I also put a direct link to Spotify. So you can get in there and take a look at Melodic Raindrops down below here. Jeremy Weinglass, myself, DTO, streaming on all platforms.
All of them.
and all of them. It's streaming.
Yes.
It's already dropped. It's been
Drop.
released. And yeah, keep posted for all of us. You can go to our websites, as I invited you into, and sign up for our newsletters. Jeremy does a ton of live performances. So if you want to watch him live, incredible artist.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of that, I've been doing a lot at streaming at the Jax Airport, but I'm making a change. I'm going to go live at a new gig for the first time. I think on Tuesday. So I'm going to try a different spot at this Michael's restaurant. So if
Fun.
you guys are getting bored with the same location, we're going to mix it up and see what happens. You never know.
Absolutely. Yeah, you never know. Totally. No, I think it's great when you can do that. So I'll include that right here. If you go to jeremyweinglass.com, you can check out his upcoming shows.
See all those are all the live gigs in the Northeast Florida location. But yeah, again, I'll look for opportunities to stream some of those too. So
absolutely. And as I mentioned, you can sign up for his newsletter. And then I'll give some quick, fast news for only friends have known this, but I'll make it public right now. I'm actually going to be on tour this June and July in US and Canada. I'm going to start out at the Berkshire Yoga Festival where Sherry Howard will be there as well. Then I'll be taking a train up to Canada, and then I'll be coming over to California, and I will be doing a full-on ecstatic dance yoga studio tour. And I recently updated on my SoundCloud, because that's the platform where you can do mixes of music. So if you check it out there, I now have my 90-minute ecstatic dance. If you happen to live in Costa Rica, or if you want to come and visit, I am going to be playing. It's a jungle ecstatic dance experience here in Alegria, which is in the Central Valley of Costa Rica. And here's my ecstatic dance set that you can check out. And, you know, if you don't know about ecstatic dance, it's a place for you to come. There's no talking. It's just experience the music and flow with it, but be in community. And it's a beautiful opportunity. So check the dates out. Again, just join our newsletters. If you're already watching us, of course, on whichever social media platform, just favorite us, stay posted. And yeah, supporting musicians. I feel it's really important because of all the chaos and the crunchy energies and the toxicity and the divisions. And, you know, it's important to have music be this universal language that brings us together no matter what. And as Billy Joel's song is, you know, we didn't start the fire. It's been always burning since the world's been turning. So this is just life itself happening, but music is that through line for us to stay connected. And my brother, Jeremy, thank you for being so talented. Thank you for your creativity, and appreciate you. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you.